This week on the Tech on Tap podcast, we say goodbye to Berlin for the last time as we recap Insight with the NetApp A-Team.
Welcome to the Tech on Tap podcast with Justin Parisi and Sully the Monster.
I love NetApp.
Oh, yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Tech on Tap podcast. My name is Justin Parisi. I'm all alone this week, and we're going to talk about Insight Berlin. That's right, we just got done with Insight Berlin 2017. It was our last Insight in Berlin. Next year we'll be in Barcelona. And what we did was we got the NetApp A-Team to talk to us and give us their thoughts about the show itself, as well as what they thought about the keynotes and the general speakers. So without further ado, here it is. We are standing here at the social media hub at NetApp Insight 2017. This is the last day. We've stopped doing the daily recaps. We now do a weekly recap because that is way easier on me. And it's all about me, as Stringy is nodding his head knowingly. So I've got a bunch of the NetApp A-Team around here. We've also got Keith Norby for some reason. Hey, hi, Keith. Hi. We're going to talk... What?
I'm out of the alphabet.
He's out of the alphabet. Okay, so we're going to go around and just kind of give introductions so that you know who is talking. And we'll give our names, what we do, and our Twitter handles. So we'll start over here. To my left, Jacinth.
Yeah, because probably I have the most weird name, right? So my name is Jacinth. I'm a storage architect out of Eastern Europe. And my Twitter handle is the same, just to replace the I with the 1. So I spent most of my week learning Storage Grid because it seems that in the past year object storage as a request is coming up more and more in my daily discussion. So I wanted to make sure that I can discuss it with on my own. So that's what I went from.
All right, thank you, Jacinth. Next up, Yasin Benedicic. So hi, Yasin.
Hi, it's Jason Benedicic. I'm a principal consultant from ANS in the UK, and you can find me on Twitter at JA_Benedicic.
All right, so Yasin, what brought you to NetApp Insight? What sort of things made you most interested in coming?
So this time's my first time around hosting some panels. So we did some Ask the A-Team panel sessions, and that was really, really good new experience for me. Get a lot of audience participation, and then a number of the new announcements and the general sessions are always a great experience here.
All right, thank you, Yasin. Let's see who this guy is. All right, you're just going to have to tell everybody. So what's your name?
Good morning, Justin. It's Rory McBride here from RECS in the UK.
All right, and Rory, how do we find you on Twitter?
You find me at McBride_Rory. I will not spell it because people still get it wrong.
Yeah, we don't want to waste all that time spelling things because that would just take too long. So what was the thing that interested you most about NetApp Insight this year?
HCI, it is the new hotness. I did quite a bit in Vegas and wanted to get a recap before we get one in a couple of weeks.
All right. Next up, the Joel K. Joel Kaufman. Hi, Joel. Tell us what you do at NetApp and, again, how to find you on Twitter.
Sure. Director of Technical Marketing, covering a whole bunch of different areas: virtualization, data protection, open ecosystems, and DevOps. A lot of good stuff.
And we can find you at the Joel K on Twitter. So you did a session with one of our own, Stephen Cortez. How did that all go?
I think it went really, really well. The thing that's been surprising me out here is that for all the wonderful talk of cloud and hybrid cloud, it's astonishing how many customers and how many partners are still dealing with just that first stage of virtualization and local plant inside of their customer environments. And the popularity is, our sessions were absolutely packed for the entire virtualization track. So there's still a lot of life in that model moving forward, even though we see where things are heading eventually.
Well, and to be honest, there's not a ton of space here in Europe, so you gotta virtualize stuff and not just have a footprint of hardware everywhere, right?
Oh, absolutely. But when if we look future forward into where we're moving towards hybrid cloud, it's astonishing how many people still don't have that journey figured out. So they're still trying to optimize that virtualized environment on premises right now before they even get out to that future thing. So I was I was surprised at how popular it beat my expectations for how popular these sessions were based on that.
Yeah, and a lot of the reason why people haven't figured out the cloud story is GDPR and the regulations and that sort of thing. It's tough in this country. And to talk a little bit more about that, let's talk to this next gentleman here. Matt Watts, hi. Tell us what you do at NetApp and how to find you on Twitter.
So I'm the Director of Technology and Strategy for NetApp in EMEA, and on Twitter at MTJWatts.
And you have some expertise in the arena of GDPR, I would imagine, right?
I think there's only one person who really has the expertise, that's Sheila Fitzpatrick. But I'm aware of the topic, and it's kind of impending, and it's really fascinating because if I kind of look at a lot of organizations, some are dealing with it, some are on top of it, but I think the reality is it's kind of falling between the cracks. You've kind of got the IT team who are saying this is a business problem because it's their data. You've got the business team saying this is an IT problem because they build the infrastructures to store the data. And I think there's an awful lot of companies out there who are just kind of flip-flopping this backwards and forwards. And May is coming, and it's coming really, really fast. It's not a Y2K, right? But we're going to get there, and I think suddenly there's going to be a realization that we've got to do something, even if that is just having a plan. But I think a lot of people don't even have a plan right now.
Good. Well, that's well said. So when I said expertise, I meant you weren't American. So, because anyone that's not American knows way more about GDPR than we do. All right. So next up, Paul Stringfellow. Tell us what you've been doing here at NetApp Insight and how to find you and what you do.
I am Paul Stringfellow, Technical Director of Garden Systems and a data management consultancy business in the UK. You can find me at TechStringy on the Twitters and techstringy.com for websiting and podcasting and the like. And what have I been doing here? So I've had fun being a guest host of Pop-Up Tech Talks. So talking to a whole bunch of really interesting people, sharing their enthusiasm for what they've been doing here at Insight, the data, the topic, the general topic of data. Lots of people excited about the NetApp HCI platform that's been announced. Was announced at Vegas, and more information on it here. And a whole bunch of stuff around the whole data market. That's the reason I'm here. The whole thing's about data. And seeing how NetApp are changing the way they approach data as a topic and the importance of data. So myself and Matt actually were talking with a customer a little bit earlier about some of the work they do, that the end goal of what they do literally saves lives, and the part that data and technology play in that. And for me, that's where stuff like this really starts to capture the imagination and finding out how we go from just worrying about storing stuff to doing stuff that's really valuable with data. That's a fascinating topic, and I think that's been really well covered here this week.
So in the States, we actually have weathermen that go out to these sites of storms and hurricanes, and what we make them do, because we're trying to haze them, is they stand out in the middle of the storms, and they're being blown about with their raincoats on, and they're trying to talk over the wind. Did you feel like Pop-Up Tech Talks was like that for you?
It was a little like that to start with, but in the end, until some guy came on towards the end eating his dessert while we were trying to do an interview, which made my life real difficult. And if you see that guy, Justin, you just give him a kicking for me. That'd be great.
That guy sounds like a real jerk, but I'll try to help you out. Who was your favorite interview of the Tech Talks?
Yeah, it was the guy who ate the dessert. He was great, so you can look out for that one. But no, the Pop-Up Tech Talk has been real good, and I think what was really fascinating, and something NetApp should be pretty proud of, I think, was the amount of customer and partner attendees who wanted to come and share their experience and their enthusiasm for their topic. So, and that was data management, it was cloud, lots of guys went to talk about HCI, and I think that speaks volumes for the event, that people wanted to come and share that excitement and enthusiasm, and were happy to have me ask them stupid questions. And obviously the big question for everybody was, curry first or brat first?
Yeah, that is the question of the week, I would imagine. So, all right, Keith Norby is here as well. Keith Norby, tell us what you do here at NetApp and how to reach you on Twitter.
Well, I've been described as the Alliance Matrix Manager for the Next Generation Data Center. I don't know if that makes me the architect, because then the problem is the choice, of course.
So you're in the Matrix.
Well, again, I didn't describe it that way, but that's what someone said. In all reality, I do alliance development for SolidFire and the Next Generation Data Center business unit for our overall alliances team and the business unit. So at the show here, it's a lot around the stuff we do with VMware, say with the HCI platform, how we render that also on Cisco with FlexPod SF and other platforms.
So you're pretty much in charge of the next generation data center, along with some other people, getting that message out. So how have you found the message to be resonating here at Insight EMEA, and what are some of the questions that people are asking about it?
Yeah, good question. Our fit in this world is, I think, was best rendered by Dave Hitz on stage talking about the 3 imperative conversations with customers, and the next generation data center is almost like the training wheels for AWS. It's getting the characteristics of why people go to a public cloud and getting that on premises. Not on premise, but on premises.
Wait. Is that with an S?
That was with the S. So we're like I was doing a track here about VMware Private Cloud, and it's kind of abstracting the differences between a highly virtualized environment and what an on-prem private cloud is, whether that's a VMware or Red Hat thing, and what are the characteristics of that. And then the questions we get back from everybody is, well, how do I take that first step? Like with DevOps as an example, people will say, well, geez, that sounds so nebulous, I'm not sure where to start. In the reality, we're trying to bring forward new and more specific use cases to do really simple things like configuration management. And then we could tie alliances like with our Puppet Alliance or Red Hat with Ansible into easy ways for them to start into a DevOps mindset or getting more agile with how they operate for developers or application people. So those are just some of the threads and tenets, but it's not just about the products. That's some of the first level things that people see is, hey, we have an HCI product, we have a FlexPod SF product, we have AFA nodes. And what ultimately matters, why people come to Insight, why people go to VMworld and Red Hat Summit and AWS reInvent is because they want all these things to become something in their VMware or open source environment to help benefit the business in a certain way. And so we try to tie those things in ways that matter. And so at the show here, one of the more interesting things that we did, I thought, was taking some of the people that spoke different foreign languages, French, Swedish, Dutch, German, etc., having them speak in native languages as a general walk-around for the HCI platform, just as an example. And that's where you start to get more of the message, globalized rather than just something we do in the U.S.
All right, excellent. Last but not least, Prez Blah Blah is here. So Atanas Prezdarov from, I said that right, didn't I?
Yeah.
Finally. He's here from Interroot. And Atanas, if you could tell everybody what you do at Interroot and your Twitter handle.
I'm an architect, infrastructure architect at Interroot. And I'm Prez Blah Blah, and you can find me at Atanas Prezdarov on Twitter.
So you were mentioning to me that you're using, or you're looking at using ONTAP Select in some areas. How are you looking to leverage ONTAP Select in Interroot?
Well, we already know, you probably already know that we do public cloud as well. Maybe not as popular as the big names, but we do it. So we're looking forward to actually allow our customers to use ONTAP Select on our cloud to allow them to interact with their on-premises infrastructure in a way they used to. They can move data between our cloud and their own infrastructure, or just do it like us. Automate it.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about the keynote, or the several keynotes, or the general sessions in general. What things did you hear at the general session? What messages resonated the best with you, or what was your favorite part of the general sessions? Who wants to take that one first? Matt Watts.
There were 2 things that really stood out for me. I think Adam Stelzner, the keynote guy, was just phenomenal. And it was a really kind of personal story. He was the guy who was responsible for the team that landed the Curiosity rover on Mars, and he talked all about kind of what that meant and why it happened. And I just loved that thing of curiosity. It's the people who remain curious can solve incredible challenges and achieve incredible things. And I took that away as a really powerful thing. And the second thing was when we did the general session with Joel Reich, and we had kind of modernized, next generation, harness the power of the hybrid cloud, which are the 3 imperatives that we're going to market with. I think everyone was impressed with modernize and the stuff we're doing there. Everyone was very impressed with what we're doing around next generation. But I had 3 meetings in the EBC here afterwards, and every single one of them said, we had no idea how much you guys were able to achieve in the cloud. And that just kind of says to me that's an area of our business that we've done so much work around, and we've got so much more work to do to show people just how much we can help them as we move into this kind of hybrid cloud world. So that's a good problem for us to have, but it was a strong point.
So, Matt, you're considered a storyteller. Given that we have this notion of hybrid cloud, and that people don't really know the things that we can do with it, what are your plans to help tell that story a little better in the future?
So I think it's about making it personal. I think once you start showing people how their personal lives are changing, then people start to recognize that we need to reflect that into the way that we work and to the way that we do things in business. You know, when we talk about modernized next generation and hybrid cloud, the one thing I think, I'm an audiophile, right? I like to build a stereo system. So I've just replaced my stereo at home, and it's my home cinema. And for my home cinema, I want the best system you can get. I want 5 speakers. I want the volume cranked up. When there's an explosion on the TV, I want my teeth to rattle. I want the cat to jump off the sofa. For me, that is a workload that benefits from a kind of a best-of-breed infrastructure. In my kitchen and my dining room, I've got Sonos. I've got a next-generation approach. I don't care so much about the actual product, the components itself. It's very, very good, and it runs a variety of workloads, but it doesn't require me to set it up, to configure it, to cable it, to do all of those things. And then you think about cloud. I don't remember the last time I used my iTunes library. All of that is effectively a fabric, and I stream Spotify to it, RDO to it, and that for me is how we can think about modernized next generation and hybrid cloud, and how companies need to be thinking about it. It's a good reflection of how do you link those two things together, and that kind of works for me, but that's just me.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you use these applications and you do these things in your home, and you don't really think about the implications that you're taking there. Like you're actually using hybrid cloud, you're using public clouds. You never really consider it, and then when you start to put it in context, people are like, oh yeah, I understand that. So it is good to personalize it with things that people are using and they're used to. We're going to go next to this audiophile here, Rory McBride. So the reason why I call him an audiophile is because he's got this really cool little thing he got from Intel. It's a speaker that looks like a phonogram? Yeah. So you can plug your phone into it. It's very low tech. It's hard to describe. It's made of rubber. So, Rory, what sort of things at the general sessions or the keynote stood out the most to you?
Oh, there was some great announcements and some little technologies that slipped in. Over to my left, I can see Jeff Baxter, who brought a few bits behind you about some of the new technologies. One of them being PlexiStore. And some of the magic that it's going to bring to the flash space. He talks about storage class memory, NVMe, which is things that people are wanting to know about where NetApp are advancing in that space. But then there was a lot around the cloud side of things. Your Cloud Orchestrator as well. The recent acquisition of is it CloudQ from Iceland? Green Cloud. Yeah, they've got some great technology.
You talked about the PlexiStore stuff and the storage class memory, the NVMe. We've got some really cool stuff coming out with that. If he wants to talk about NVMe, Jeff Baxter's over here. So Jeff, just to show that everyone that I'm actually doing work here, let's just talk to you for a second. So Rory brought up the point about PlexiStore and NVMe. Let's expand upon that since you were on the stage talking about it, and just kind of give the elevator pitch for that for our listeners.
For the PlexiStore piece and everything like that?
Yeah, the NVMe, PlexiStore, that sort of thing.
So I guess the elevator pitch for the PlexiStore technology and everything is that these new types of storage class memory, the 3D Crosspoint, the NVDIMMs, all that other stuff, they're going to be such an order of magnitude faster, both on the overall performance and on the latency, that once you get even out a small couple meters of a cable at the back end, you're going to destroy the latency, right? So putting enterprise caliber data management in there, snaps, clones, all the things, Joe Caradonna is in love with .snapshot directories, right? So having that sort of stuff on the host and then being able to tier data out the back end to an AFF system, it's pretty much as simple as that, right? And then NVMe is just a better way of attaching media, right? More parallel, lower latency, and then moving it out over fabrics is just the next generation of that. So, that's the really short elevator pitch.
So you mentioned NVMe over fabrics. What sort of awesome new creative things can we do with that, or that we've been able to, that we've already announced?
I'm sorry, I was distracted by Matt Watts making faces at me. Can you repeat the question?
So is he making eyes?
Yes.
I get lost in his eyes too.
I get, yeah.
So NVMe over fabric, there are some pretty cool things coming down the pipe for that. Is there anything that you can divulge that has already been publicly announced, or that things that we can kind of hint at for that?
Yeah, so we've already said that NVMe over fabric we're executing on, right? We don't do, it's coming on this and this date, but we have it working for Fibre Channel in the lab right now, right? It's not an ONTAP 9.3, but it's working in the lab, so if it continues to go the way we're going, it's a very good candidate for the next ONTAP release. Following on from that, we're definitely interested on the Ethernet side. It's looking like Rocky is probably the converged Ethernet of choice there, and that probably won't be in the next version of ONTAP, which would be something like 9.4, right? But it's looking good after that, right? And we'll route it out. There's NVMe over TCP kind of fighting its way through the standards body, so that's something we're looking at, as well as NFS over RDMA. So all of this stuff, all of this stuff, not in 9.3, but coming very shortly after, or maybe the release after that. So it's not like a 5-year plan. It's more like a 6-month to 18-month plan for most of these things. With the lawyers are requiring, I say everything is subject to change and may slip and so on and so forth. But it's a lot of that is already working in the lab.
Yeah, and with the new cadence, the 6-month cadence for every release, we're going to get this stuff faster and faster. So, I expect that out in the near future. So thank you very much for stopping by and telling us about stuff, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so who wants to be next to talk about what they heard at the Stringy? You, I knew it was you. All right, Stringy, general session, keynote. What stood out to you?
So for me, I think it was we started this when we talked earlier on about the idea of data and data being the focus. So I know some of the other guys said there's been some really interesting product announcements, kind of slipped in under the radar almost, some of them. But I think the idea that you can see NetApp, who have been traditionally a storage company, not really talking about storing stuff anymore. They are talking very much about taking data, moving it around, exploiting it, taking advantage of it, being able to do interesting things with it. And I think that focus on what it is you're trying to achieve at the back end of all of this is what will drive the technology, not a conversation about the technology itself and why we should go and implement something, why we should implement ONTAP 9.3. This is much more about what is that allowing us to do, focus on the end goal of that. And a bit of selfless promotion here, so, and why not? I learned it all from you, was that while I've been here, I've been doing some tech interviews podcasts, and we've done 3 this week where I've grabbed people as they've just come straight out of the general sessions just to get their view on what was going on. Actually, that was one of the things that resonated the most with them, was this focus on end result and how data is, we've got the board up here about changing the world with data, and how that focus actually means quite a lot to quite a lot of people, and they've been really enthused by this idea that we can do really amazing things with technology if we learn how to take advantage of it and learn how to make the most out of all that raw information that we get. So I think for me that focus on data has been fascinating.
All right, Keith Norby,
yes. General
session, keynote, some thoughts?
Well, first off, we sort of shot the Dave Wright surprise in Vegas, so that didn't come over here. No need to announce Dave Wright coming back officially from sabbatical, but it's always great to see him. In Berlin, specifically, the 2 things I think were great, obviously, are Adam Carter and Dan Berg on stage walking people through what an HCI deployment looks like. And shocking, it doesn't end up in a storage thing. It ends up in a vCenter console, and having some things they didn't even get into, which are things like vCenter, vRealize orchestration, and some of the other tool sets that we have, like Puppet, Ansible, PowerShell, ways that people can completely live out of the storage UI, out of the infrastructure UI, to build VMs with agility. I thought the talk track and the demo just articulated very well, how much simplicity they're trying to deliver with yet still having a lot of technical functions that the VMs can have native to building VMs. And then the second thing that I thought was interesting was Alex Vollner having the service providers on stage. We had the reception last night for a lot of the SolidFire service providers that have really become the foundation of how SolidFire got its start out of Rackspace into the service provider community. We see Iteroot over here. They're one of the founding fathers of our service provider business, along with 1&1. Colleague wasn't there. They're one of them as well. So seeing them on stage, talking through what are the tenets of success that NetApp delivers, not just with SolidFire, but overall, I think is very impressive and a lot of times very understated.
So you mentioned about HCI and the talking about virtualization, and really what you guys have been doing is shifting the conversation away from this concept of how many gigabytes, how many terabytes do I need, to what's it going to solve, how is it going to solve my problem, and that's kind of evolved into this next generation HCI conversation. So how is that resonating with people you've talked to? What are they saying about HCI, and are they accepting that this is truly HCI, or are they just kind of still pushing back a little bit on that?
Well, you're always going to have a socket of people that just are purists on whatever they want to believe a definition is or is not. I just respond back saying, well, just call it something else. It doesn't matter to me personally whether you call it HCI or not. Surprisingly, a lot of the analysts, like in our earnings call yesterday, talked a lot, like a couple of the major questions were about, well, where's the HCI market going? Are you forecasting your growth of the company around where HCI is going? And what the people in Berlin here, I think, were telling us about the platform was it's more about what the platform does than what we call it. And it's super important to be tuned into what a VM builder wants out of a platform with as little as possible. And trying to get as clear to that as possible with as much exposed capabilities and functions, specific characteristic functions like a min-max and burst in a policy setting is fundamentally different than how they built VMs in the past. And if you can then tie that in, like the example with the home audio, I would take that a step further and say, it's much more like the Harmony remote where you have the home audio system, but nobody wants 5 different remotes. And if you want to program if you want to configure the traditional multifunction remote, it's slide the button here to turn this on, slide over here to this on. Yes, you have one remote, but you're configuring the crap out of it, and it's still not that easy to use. Whereas a Harmony remote, we program in to watch TV. It does this function for the channel up and down button. It does this for the volume, etc., etc. So it's programmed once. I watch TV.
So you mentioned Dave Wright. Is he going to make it into the next SolidFire Cards game as a Dave Wright surprise?
Well, I can't predict the future on Cards Against Humanity. We certainly had a round of it last night with Dave Hitz and Andy Banta, of course, and Jeremiah Dooley and Gabe Chapman, kind of the usual suspects. It's become the highest form of great relief from what is sometimes a marathon slog of these shows. And it's a good form of us just to kind of route some of our deeply rooted sarcasm in the form of humor, both tech and non-tech. So we'll see. I mean, I think we're constantly inspired by, what level of snark and sarcasm we can get to next. Especially if you can sort of put a technical lens on that and route it out into something that actually is the jargon we speak here.
Next generation snark. All right.
That's sarcasm as a service.
Sarcasm as a service. Yeah, I like that. SAS.
Yeah.
Technically, we would make fun of that acronym, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we are too.
We'll make it an acronym, and then we'll make fun of the acronym. All in the same card.
Done already. All right. Who wants to go next? Jason Benedicic. I'll pick you because you're wearing the podcast T-shirt, the official, unofficial. They actually got angry at me a little bit because I put a gopher on their shirt. They don't want the gopher to be the mascot, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, keynote, general session, your thoughts.
So I have some more generic thoughts around the keynotes in that I've been attending Insight now for about 7 years, since Athens, I think it is. And the way that you're telling the story now and the way that the keynotes have transitioned. Previously, we focused a lot on tech, a lot on specific products. Now it's all around solutions and customer feedback and good story. I think that resonates a hell of a lot more with the customers and the partners here because it's kind of an unbiased opinion. It's, how do the technologies that we promote here make a real impact to life and other areas that we're all working in, and hearing back from the service providers and obviously the NASA guy, those are really, they resonate really well.
Okay, excellent. And Jacinth, you're an SC out of a unique area of Europe because they do things a little differently than other areas of Europe. What sort of things resonated for you as it pertains to the area you have to deal with?
So interestingly, so the general sessions were fantastic this year. But interestingly, what I see is that this year we announced a ton of new products. So not only we have a completely new product which we didn't do for a very, very long time now, but also if you look at the whole NetApp portfolio, ONTAP, Element, Storage Grid, Centricity. In almost all of the products, we have new releases, new features, which are, my customers and my partners are excited about. So I can't wait to see next year what we are bringing and what we will talk about.
All right, excellent. So what sort of new product or feature stood out to you the most?
So I still spend, most of my time with ONTAP. So most importantly in ONTAP we are focusing on all-flash FAS, obviously, and the new efficiency and performance improvements in 9.3 are just amazing.
Yeah, some of those improvements include the iSCSI parallelization, so you actually get better iSCSI performance. You get more optimizations out of Waffle. So the tagline I give is the up to 30% performance on certain workloads and specific platforms because you have to give disclaimers, right? So, all right, thanks, Jacinth. Atanas, keynote, general session, what stood out to you the most?
Well, for me, most important is, and we already know that data is being collected all over the place.
We're collecting data right now.
Yes, even now. So, and the key message for me was, data is already here. It's being collected, whether you like it or not. There is no avoiding that. So you better make a good use out of it. And by making good use out of it, I don't mean anything mischievous. I mean, what they said is, what was that Walmart about the Pop-Tarts?
Pop-Tarts?
Yeah.
Go on. Pop-Tarts? I'm listening.
Yeah. Well, no. Who was the speaker? The guy from the magazine said that they were keeping receipts or data about what was being purchased at Walmart. And just running through that data, they realized that people actually buy more Pop-Tarts just before it rains. Doesn't make any sense, does it? No. But so what the key takeaway for me was that you have the data, you never know where this aha moment will be for you. You better keep that data handy and easily accessible and manageable, because you don't want to spend time and miss the moment by just trying to get to the data to realize, to do what you have just realized in your aha idea.
So, next year, Insight will be at Barcelona. What will you miss most about being in Berlin now that we've been here, 4 years now? And what are you looking forward to the most in Barcelona for Insight?
Well, the rain. What I'm going to miss in Barcelona, hopefully I will miss in Barcelona, is the rain. And what I'm looking forward to in Barcelona is not raining.
All right, excellent answers. Rory?
I am looking forward to probably some new eateries. The food is a lot different in Spain. The weather will be nicer, as Atanas, I think, was trying to allude to. But I've grown fond of Berlin. See, I forgot where I am already. Berlin over the last few years. It's kind of starting to feel like a second home. I think that's because of a lot of our friends and partners are here. But I will probably not miss having to commute in on the train. The first 2 years here, I can't remember how many times I got the wrong number and ended up on the wrong line. But yeah, it's been fun here and looking forward to next year already.
All right, excellent. I agree with you in the food. Paella and tapas, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Jacinth, what are you going to miss the most about Berlin? What are you looking forward to in Barcelona?
All right. So I had a couple of insights now, and I think in Berlin, the best thing which works the best way here is the public transport. It's just amazing. If you have a hotel room which is close enough to the S-Bahn here in Berlin, then you will be here in the morning, no problem. So I don't know how that will work out. I know the venue. I spent a couple of VMworlds in Barcelona. We will see how the public transport works, or if we will do buses or whatever, we will see. But definitely food and the weather. So I will not miss the cold and I will not miss the rain. Barcelona is much better for weather, and again, we are going south, so the food's supposed to be much, much better.
All right, Stringy, we're leaving Berlin. We're here at the final Berlin show. What will you miss most about Berlin, and what will you look forward to the most for Barcelona?
I like Berlin. I think Berlin's, that kind of European architecture and east-west thing that Berlin has, which is fascinating. So spending a few days here this time because it's the last time. My wife's come over, we're spending a few days having a look round and having a look at a bit of Berlin's history. So I'm saying I kind of quite like the people. I think, it's a nice place. So a very relaxed atmosphere. So I enjoy that. What are we looking forward to most in Barcelona? Finding out whether Barcelona's still part of Spain when we get there. That'd be quite exciting. Barcelona's a lovely city, been a few times, and as Yathin was saying before, nice food, nice warm weather, or warmer weather even in December. So there's what's not to enjoy of warm food and nice weather. Food and nice weather.
Yeah, there you go. That should be their tagline. Warm food, nice weather, Barcelona. All right, Keith Norby, you've been to Barcelona a few times, like dozens probably, because of VMworld and all the other tech shows. What are you looking forward to the most for Insight in Barcelona?
Well, we had a chance to be there for VMworld and OpenStack Summit back-to-back weeks, so we certainly have gotten our flair of it. And there's a lot of undiscovered parts of Barcelona that I'd encourage everyone to go take a look at. The Gaudi House, The Sagrada Familia is like a second body experience. It's an out of body experience. It's incredible, the architecture, and they're still building it even after however many years they've been at it. So there's a lot of really good cultural things that I think stand out significantly about Barcelona. But same type of hotel distance from conference room thing you're going to have there. It's a great location. It's same Wi-Fi, same air-conditioned element. So I hope everyone just breaks out of the venue to go enjoy the city, because that's the highlight.
Yeah, excellent. All right, cool. All right, so let's move over here to the this closed circle of people. So Berlin, we're leaving it. We're going to be gone. This is the final show. So what are you going to miss the most about Berlin, and what are you looking forward to the most in Barcelona, Matt Watts?
I think it's time to move on, right? We've been here for 4 years now, and the kind of change over 4 years has been incredible. Berlin is a really special city. I think everyone's loved it, but everyone is ready for a change. And I actually think the timing's quite good. NetApp has gone through quite a transformation, and I think there's almost a bit of a sign that, as a part of our change, then we need to change this as well. Barcelona, the weather will be better.
Yeah, that's been a common thread. Like weather, public transportation, food has been a common thread. Jason Benedicic.
So I like Berlin, but I like Barcelona. I've ended up being there quite a lot over the last years with VMworld and Cisco Live being there. Weather's going to be good. Might not be a country, though. That could be a world.
It'll be like states of sorts. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that all works out. Yeah, hopefully that all sorts itself out by the time we get there. But yeah, and I already know Joel K's answer, but let's hear it, Joel.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to be depressing here. I've gone to Barcelona, like Jason said, so much for VMworld, Cisco Live, etc. I really would like I want to visit the rest of Europe. But either way, it's going to be fun. I know all the really good restaurants in Barcelona at this point by heart, and I am guaranteed to... we are all going to go out and have jamón ibérico. Oh, yeah. The premium, the puro, the premium black leg. All
right. So for me, Berlin, I'm going to miss Tiergarten. Tiergarten Quella. Tiergarten. I can't go there anymore. It's pork knuckle, no more. Red cabbage. Rotkraut. So I'll also miss the architecture. I won't miss the weather. But I am looking forward to Barcelona. I've never been myself. But I do know the food is going to be fantastic, because I've had a lot of Spanish food outside of that. So, yeah, never been. So it's going to be fun.
We're going to take care of you.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't drink, but hey.
No, it's the cathedral.
Oh, I thought you meant I thought you were just saying sangria.
I was going to say.
See, I've never been. God, they even named their buildings after alcohol. Man.
Yeah, we're going to take some ladders and some bricks, and we'll finish it off between us, I think.
An A-Team refurb job.
Yes.
Like
yes.
DIY SOS A-Team edition.
There you go.
There's a cultural reference.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good for that. Let's huddle around. We're going to put our hands in the middle here. We're going to do an A-Team chant. And on three, we're going to go A-Team, right? All right. 1, 2, 3, A-Team! All right.
All right, that music tells me it's time to go. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email to podcast@netapp.com or send us a tweet @netapp. As always, if you'd like to subscribe, find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher, or via techontapodcast.com. If you like the show today, leave us a review. On behalf of the entire Tech on Tap podcast team, I'd like to thank the NetApp A-Team for joining us at Insight Berlin. As always, thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah.
Is it just me that's getting off on this?
Oh, yeah.